Alright guys, my 8.1 PvP guide is out of date. There have been changes, there are new Azurite traits, there are Azurite changes in general, there are new trinkets, there are new uses for abilities that have never been used before. You know, there's all this stuff. So let me get rid of that. Go to entertainment. I'm going to be going over your talents, your PvP talents, your stat template, and your enchants in this video. I will go over Azurite traits in another video, and I will go over like how to duel people. I'll go over how to duel people in a third video. Or I'm going to separate them so this video isn't 5 bazillion years long. I'm going to start with Blind Fury. So Blind Fury, think of this talent as, hey, do I need to do the most damage possible? Alright, taking Blind Fury. That's simple. Am I the kill target? Are they going to be using their kicks on me in this composition that I'm playing, right? If they're kicking me, if I'm the kill target, I don't want to be using Blind Fury because they're just going to kick me all the time and make me waste it. I get no value out of this talent. On the contrary, Demonic Appetite is the exact opposite. Are they on me? Well, I would love to have those extra heals, right? The Soul Fragment that Demonic drops heals you for 15,000, and with certain talents can give you a shield automatically while giving you that 30 Fury, and with certain traits reduce the cooldown of your I-beam, but I'll get into that in that other video. This is a talent I would take when I'm not being trained, sometimes, maybe against double casters most of the time, because it allows you to self-sustain, and your healer stays up on mana because you're healing yourself. They don't have to cast those heals on you. You're good to go. Fellblade. Alright, Fellblade is very powerful as well. Not so much in this meta though, because the meta is really mobile dampener casters currently, like Ellie Shamans, Destrolocks, Frost Mages, right? It's not that difficult to stick onto these targets for a Demon Hunter, at least. If it was like Arcane Mage meta, Demon Hunter meta, a Feral Druid meta, then, or Hunter meta, then I could see Fellblade being used more often because it allows you to stick on that target. But until then, I don't recommend using this in 1v1s, and it still has its place. It's still a powerful ability, don't get me wrong, still great in 2s. I'll tell you about that later. Use this if you're having trouble sticking to the target. The third tier, it's Insatiable Hunger, is literally the old Demon Hunter legendary ring. They give you extra fury from your Demon's Bite or your Demon's Blades in that case. Don't need to be taking this, doesn't generate enough fury. You really don't need it. Demon's Blades. Alright, so this is powerful, however, it's not that great because you need to be on a target 24/7 and it's inconsistent. If you're rooted, you're not generating fury. If you're just simply not on the target, you're not generating fury. You can just get unlucky with procs, you're not generating fury. It can do a lot of damage because you're getting extra haste from your demonic passive essentially, but most of the time you're not going to be wanting to use this just because of its inconsistency. Again, just like the first tier, Immolation Aura is the exact opposite. It's consistent. It's not as much damage overall, but it's consistent fury. That's what's important here. It gives you that 80 fury over 10 seconds and does some very basic amount of cleave. That's not what you are really taking this for. You need this extra cleave just because, not this cleave, you need this extra fury. When you're stuck in a root, guess what? You're generating fury. You're always doing something, even when you're being CC'd, even when, hey, you got polymorph, pop immo right before you see that poly hit you, right? By the time that polymorph is dispelled, or by the time you sit through it and it's over, you're going to be capped on fury. Instead of having to go up and generate fury, you can just start slamming them with chaos strikes and blade dances immediately. Definitely recommend Immolation Aura. And how to use Immolation Aura is you actually want to be timing it with your demonic, so you want to use it to global before you pop your I-beam. Why? Because you're going to get capped on fury, and then while you're spamming damage in your demonic, you're going to be gaining fury during it, so you don't have to use those globals while in your demonic to gain fury. You can just slash the fury out. Keeps your burst at its highest potential. Next tier, it's pretty much between Fell Barrage and Trail of Ruin. Fell Mastery just doesn't do enough damage, right? In order to get this better than the other two talents it's like near impossible. So Trail of Ruin just gives you extra chaos damage on your blade dance. Chaos damage ignores armor because it's magical, of course. Very powerful. It's just consistent. It does great in AoE. Does good single target, right? It's good in both scenarios. There's no outplay to this. You can't dispel the dot either. Fell Barrage, however, okay, Fell Barrage. This talent has a lot of potential because it hits all the targets within its area for 35k, or in this case 39k. You can also combo it with your demonic. I will show you that right now. So I'm going to pop my mini meta, and as you can see, it's not the damage increase, it's actually the haste that increases the damage of Fell Barrage. And I have 2 Furious Gaze traits, so I get an extra 1700 haste, and that just makes this go up to 55k, which is insane. However, it has a lot of really easy outplay potential because all someone has to do is kick it. That's a 1 minute cooldown completely wasted. It's just not that powerful. It breaks CC. Overall, the weakest. You just can't really control it either. You kind of have to time. It's just overall really weak. I'd love to see the old Chaos Fell Barrage back in the game. That was really fun. This version, not so much. The 104 tier. All three of these are very viable in their own regard. I'm gonna explain why. So the first one is Soul Rending. It just gives you that passive healing, great for 2s and 3s. I would use this in 3s in combination with Demonic Appetite. So I'm just healing an insane amount. My healer never goes out of mana because of this. It's preferably best if you're not the kill target in these situations, because taking this combination of talents allows you to play really aggressive, because normally if you overextend you're not getting any healing, but with this you're getting so much extra healing that you can afford to overextend sometimes. Right, that's going to come down to your individual experience as to judge why or when. Desperate Instincts. This is something I would take all the time, especially in this meta. It's a really dampener, slow caster meta, along with ironically the direct opposite, which is Mage Rogue. Mage Rogue is insane. If you guys have seen the new tournament that was just still going on right now as I make this video, actually, Mage Rogue is crazy with the Maledict trinkets. They can just kill someone like that in a kidney shot. You're always scared. This stops that. Bam, they got a kidney on you. Your healer doesn't have a trinket. Don't worry, bro. I have Desperate Instincts up. I'll live. When you combine this with a trinket like, Sinister. Oh my god. Sinister Gladiator Safeguard, literally unkillable. Hey, you drop below 35%, you get a 50% wall. Hey, in that 35%, you drop to 25%, you get a 35k shield on top of that 50% damage reduction. There's no possible way for you to die to a rogue if you're running those two talents, or that talent and that trinket, but even without the trinket, still invaluable. I love using this against Mage Rogue comps that I know like to switch a lot. Netherwalk, this is also just very good against any comp that can stun a lot. Netherwalk, very powerful. You can use it to immune yourself to a Chaos Bolt right before it hits. You can immune yourself to a lava, earth shock, whatever you see flying through the air, really. That's about to one-shot you pretty much. You know, this just saves your life. Hey, your healer got CC'd. Hey, you're fighting against a Cupid. All right, so Cupid is a Ret, a Hunter, and a healer. You're fighting against a Cupid. So let's say this is the Ret Paladin. He stuns my healer. Okay, that means I know my healer is gonna get CC'd. Okay, he's gonna get that full trap. There's nothing I can do about it. Oh my god, I'm too far away from him. Well, as soon as you see him get trapped, instantly just Netherwalk, and then you can bandage. You can bandage while you're Netherwalked. Remember that, guys. It's a free 40k heal every time you Netherwalk. Nobody does this for some reason, except for me. But I swear to God, it's really good. Also, because of the movement speed, abuse that as well. While you're in that Netherwalk, just walk over to your healer with that increased movement speed and reverse magic him. You have reverse magic. Use it. It's a perfect combination of talents. Reverse and Netherwalk allows you to get set up to get rid of the extra CC that comes onto him next after your Netherwalk falls off, so you just stay alive. The next tier, this is essentially between First Blood and Dark Slash, as Cycle of Hatred is extremely inconsistent, especially since it doesn't scale with your crit anymore. First Blood just makes your Blade Dance extremely powerful and reduces its cost, which is already very good by itself, because your Blade Dance is an all-in-one ability. It's your best single target ability, it's your best AoE ability, and it's your best defensive ability. Other than cooldowns, of course. Hey, you see a warrior charging onto you, you're at 10% HP, Blade Dance as soon as he gets to you. You instantly parry that execute. That's why it's so powerful, is because this ability already has so much baked into it that it's already strong on its own, but this just makes it insane. I really wish this didn't exist, honestly, because Dark Slash seems far more interesting to me, but it's really underused and just doesn't output the damage, but it takes more difficulty to use, which is why I wish they would switch in meta. The next tier, all three of these can be used in their own situations. Fell Eruption is what you will take most of the time. It's just that easy stun. You can combo that stun with a mana rift, for instance, and just start sucking that mana through a straw. Master of Glaive, you can also use to peel. Master of Glaive is something I would use if I'm playing, for instance, with a Destro Lock, because Destro Lock has no slows, unless I'm playing with an Arshaman, because they have slows, but if this keeps, so if you're in the open, that's where Destro Lock likes to be, you can slow them, and when they want to run, because they will want to run, it's a fucking Destro Lock, they will want to run eventually, you can just smack them with a Master of the Glaives. They're going to be rooted, they're going to be coiled, they're going to be stunned by your Chaos Nova, they can't go anywhere, and they take that Chaos Bolt up the ass. Okay, Unleash Power, very powerful, underused, unfortunately. I would use this against certain classes, maybe in a 1v1, or against a Destro, or against a Demonology Warlock. Why, you might ask? Because it reduces the cost of your Chaos Nova, of course, to 40 seconds, but your Chaos Nova has a 30% chance per target hit to summon a lesser soul fragment. Now, when you combine that with Soul Rending and Demonic Appetite, all of a sudden, when a Demo Lock summons 5 Imps, 2 Felguards, his Demonic Tyrant, and his eye laser shooter little dude, you can stun all of them, and I'm not kidding you, you will go from 10% HP to full HP in one stun. Every single time. You're going to be stunning them, so you're peeling damage, you're healing, and it's a stun, so you're going to be able to do a lot of damage in that stun. It's a 1 in all. I'd also recommend use this against Unholy Death Knights in 2s or in 1v1s. Maybe 3s if you can work it, but most of the time you won't want to. Trust me, you can it's like a lay on hands. I've had rank 1 DKs, well, one rank 1 DK message me and say, what the fuck do you have lay on hands? It just made me laugh. So the next tier, the 110, is between Demonic and Momentum. Nemesis is too obvious. When you throw a Nemesis onto a target, as you can see here, Nemesis, he gets a big ass debuff. That means, hey, I'm an Arjude. Oh, I have Nemesis on me, guys. I wonder who they're gonna swap to. It's also outplayable really easily with the Blessing of Protection, a Ice Block, any immunity. It completely removes the debuff, unfortunately. Too easy to get out of. Momentum is something I would take in 2s because it's the highest burst build. It gives you the highest burst overall because it's essentially just a free damage increase on top of your meta. So you're gonna be going crazy with it for that 30 seconds of your metamorphosis, but then you kind of smelter out. So it's really up to you. It acts as an immolation aura. So if I ran Momentum, I would run Fellblade, Demon Blades, because this acts as that momentum, that immolation aura in its own. So you kind of stick with the same build. You're just really aggressively pressed rather than in a mid tier. Demonic, of course, every I-beam just gives you that extra haste boost from going into demon form, lets you pump out some damage. Combo it with Blind Fury, all of a sudden you're going crazy. Every time you get Demonic Burn, you're capped on Fury too, so you just shit on people, do a lot of self-healing as well. Very good overall, the best talent in my opinion. PvP talents, 9 out of 10 times, because as a Demon Hunter you can only be a Night Elf or a Blood Elf, you're gonna want Gladiator's Medallion. Why? Of course, because it gives you that on-use trinket that is very, very needed. Relentless could see some play if you're the one in the team getting completely shut down. That's the only time I would ever recommend using this, but it makes you a vulnerable kill target. So it also, if you play Relentless, I would also recommend playing Desperate Instincts, just so that if you do get swapped to, it's very unlikely you'll die. Adaption, very selective use. I would only use it in a 1v1, for instance against a Rep Paladin. Reason being, Rep Paladin Hodge is a 1 minute cooldown. Every 3 holy power they spend, they essentially reduce its cooldown by 5 seconds. So if you're kiting, they're not going to be getting their Hodge cooldown off cooldown, and by the time they do get their Hodge back, you're going to have Adapt again. So you just trinket it for free over and over, and then of course after you do your damage, you get their cooldowns, they bop, you kite away, you wait for adaption again, rinse repeat until you beat that duel. So that's first tier of PvP talents. I'm just going to go over every single one of these at once and when to use them and why to use them. Solitude, very powerful in 2s and 3s. World PvP as well, just gives you that extra attack speed. That attack speed translate into some weird sort of haste. What I mean by that is if you take Solitude, it does reduce your global cooldown while you're in Rain from Above animation for some strange reason. I'm not entirely sure why. But if you have Solitude and you Rain from Above at the same time, you can attack a little bit faster. You can spam out those Fell Lances. Also very good if you're playing with a caster in 3s, because you're going to have that increased fury generation and attack speed the entire time. Eye of Leothoris, this is something I'd only use in a duels, for instance against a Shadow Priest or an Elemental Shaman. Maybe in 2s, it really depends, but think of this as a silence. Hey, you're in a 1v1, they can't get a dispel, so it's not just dispelled like it would be in 3s. They have a choice. They can sit there and do nothing for 6 seconds, so it's essentially a silence, right? Or they can cast and try to out pressure you while taking 5% of their HP every single time they use a spell. Think about that. They're probably not going. There's a potential of 25% pretty much of their HP, which is very unlikely they will choose that path. Think of it as a silence, guys, as a silence. You can also use this if an enemy demon hunter uses rain from above. I would recommend using it in a 1v1. You just toss that Eye of the Althoris on them. While they're throwing fell lances down you taking 5% of your HP, they're chunking their own HP. And then you just jump up with your rain from above and kill them. All right. It's my bud. It's my bud. All right. He plays Demon Hunter, but he finally realized that a Holy Death Knight is just better. That's him. Next tier is Mana Rift. Very powerful again, and not something you're going to be using in 3s too much because the current Demon Hunter comps don't really rely that much on mana sucking. Like, you're not going to just be sucking their mana out through a straw, but in 2s, definitely powerful. Essentially, what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to combo with Fell Eruption. You stun the target. Teach you how to use this talent 2 right now. So you would get your Fury first. If we're always Fury first, stun, Mana Rift. Okay, it's very, very simple. You stun, then you Mana Rift immediately. You'll get them in that. They'll get their mana sucked right out as soon as that stun is finished. Now, if someone is playing Relentless, all right, remember what Relentless does. Reduces the incoming crowd control stuns, whatever, by 20%, and same with Orcs. Reduces stuns by 15%. They're going to be able to just walk out of your Fell Eruption and that Mana Rift before it's actually over. How do you counter this? Well, there's one piece of utility that Demon Hunter has that was actually buffed this patch, and that's your Vengeful Retreat. So how you want to deal with people who use Relentless to get out of your Mana Rift is you stun, Mana Rift, wait, and then retreat, so they're slowed by 70%. Vengeful Retreat is off the global cooldown too, so you can do all of this extremely quickly. This way, they're slowed in that stun and that in that stun and that Mana Rift, so they have to take that 8% mana loss. They don't have a choice. You can do that every 25 seconds, guaranteed. Definitely abuse it. Make them hurt, make them hate themselves for taking Relentless. Demonic Origins, just not all that good. You don't need those small consistent bursts of Metamorphosis at 2 minutes because you already have Demonic on a 30-second cooldown. So it's really pointless. It's essentially like having Demonic ×2, but like, imagine Demonic Origins, but it's literally just a shittier Demonic, right? It's the exact same thing, pretty much, just worse. Rain from above, I'll use this in 3s if I know I'm going to be trained by 2 melee, like a Turbo or a Windwalker Death Knight. Just makes you immune. You can pump out damage while you're in the air with it. I'd recommend comboing this with your Demonic, ironically. So you pop your Demonic, get your Fury, you jump into the air, and because you have the increased haste from your traits, and because you're in meta form, you can spam out with a much smaller GCD, because look at my GCD. 1.05 seconds versus the normal 1.3 seconds, so you can get out about 4 to 5 extra Rain from above Fell Lances overall. Oh, sorry, my GCD would have been much lower. I wasn't actually playing Demonic for that little demonstration there. But next talent, Detainment, something I take almost all the time. You can use this on a Warrior's Recklessness. They can't Berserker Rage it. You can use this to peel. You want to be comboing it with your Fell Eruption. So you're fighting, you stun, then you imprison out, or on the contrary, if you want to use it really aggressively, you see a mage at 10% HP, you just pumped all, hey, keep putting into the mage, keep it in mage. You tell your partner, just smack into that temporal shield, but wait, you missed the purge. He's going to heal the full off that temporal shield and all the damage you did to it. Well, just imprison him at the last second. Immunes the healing. His healer can't heal him anymore, and it allows your team to set up some CC on that enemy healer. So as soon as he comes out of it, he's dead. Next tier is Mana Break. Okay, so Mana Break, very, very good, or very bad talent actually, but you can see a little bit used in 2s. It's just a really fatigue dampening kind of talent. Doesn't do any damage really, costs a lot of fury. How you want to be using this is you're hitting the target, you stun them, you do all your damage, you pop your burst, you give them at 50% HP. As soon as they're at 50% HP, you just press it. So they have a choice. They can either let you just smack them on the ass the entire time and maybe kill them, or they can pump some heals and in the process losing a lot of extra mana. It's the same kind of concept as Eye of the Althoris. You put them on them, they have the choice. Deal damage to themselves, but deal damage to you as well, or just wait it out and take some damage. This is do some healing to themselves, or don't and take a lot of damage. Either way, it's a win-win because they use a lot of they either use a lot of extra mana or they take a lot of extra damage. Cover of Darkness is something I'll take 99% of the time, literally 99% of the time. There's almost no situation where I wouldn't take this. Great utility for yourself, great utility for your team. You can Darkness in a bomb, you can Darkness right before a spell hits your one of your teammates. You can just save everyone, tell them to both stack up and you're all safe. Unending Hatred is something I would take in combination with Demonic Appetite because this isn't as consistent of Fury as Blind Fury is. When you're up against double casters, which is when you want to use Demonic Appetite, Unending Hatred gives you that extra Fury you're missing. So you can spam out more Chaos Strikes and get more healing from Demonic Appetite, which in turn gives you more Fury, so you can spam out more Chaos Strikes, and then you're getting more and more Fury from Unending Hatred, especially if they're targeting you, even with a Shaman Totem Slow. This will give you Fury from it. Okay, so that's the PvP talents done and over with finally. What we're going to go on to now is your stat template. So crit in PvP is reduced by 50%, meaning you hit for 150% of the normal damage you would in PvP, making it the overall worst stat you can stack. Now that means don't take crit Azurite traits. Don't take crit. Try to focus your gear away from crit as well. As you can see here, I have crit, I have haste, crit. See, I don't want crit. This, even though it's a 395 ring, my 375 is better than it. Why? Gives you that versatility, which is straight up damage increase. Gives me that haste, speed, and I can enchant it for more versatility. So all I'm really losing is some crit, which is my worst stat. I'm getting tankiness and damage overall. Stay the fuck away from crit. That's what I'm saying. So just remember that. Your best stat in general is haste and versatility. I would say versatility is number 1, haste is number 2 in PvP, and there's a reason for that. Mastery is number 3, and I've been experimenting with some mastery builds. As you can see, I have quick navigation and versatile navigation on my weapons, but on my other 390 weapon, I have masterful navigation. I'm experimenting because mastery seems to me to be better overall because you're getting a lot of extra haste from your demonic form already. You're getting a lot of extra haste from your solitude if you're speccing into it. You don't really need the haste, especially since you're getting gear with it as well, whereas the mastery increases the damage of all your chaos by a certain amount and your movement speed. So what I'm trying to say is haste is only better when you're on the target 24/7. But in PvP, that's simply not the case. Meaning, stats that coordinate better with burst tend to be better too as a demon hunter. So with that masterful navigation on that weapon, it's going to be giving you 650 extra mastery, which actually translate, my mastery is 18%, which actually translates to like 8% more damage when it procs, which is pretty nutty when you think about it. That's a lot of extra damage you're getting from a single enchant. See, 50, already my mastery is at 24% from an increase of 50. Isn't that crazy? It's at 19% now. It'll only go up. It's an entire percent. That's 1% more damage to your Chaos Strike. It ends up at being at around 6% extra damage, which makes your Chaos Strike hit harder, makes your I-Beam hit harder. Your Blade Dance doesn't hit directly harder because it's a physical damage ability, but Trail of Ruin hits harder. Almost every ability in your arsenal that's powerful simply hits harder, which is why I've been experimenting with versatile navigation overall. I think it's very powerful, but it's going to take more experimentation. Anyways, you want to be going with your haste verse as top priority, mastery as third. You can build into mastery if you like, but try to keep either choose between either versatility and mastery or haste and mastery. Don't try to go haste mastery or in that regard, because you definitely need that versatility. It's very powerful. I just went over enchants, so that's the entire guide in a nutshell. It took me a while, longer than I expected, unfortunately, but I hope the information got across to you guys. I'm going to be going over the Azurite traits in another video. As I said at the start, hit this video with a like, subscribe, just do the typical YouTuber begging for shit spiel. Peace, guys.